breathes and, dare I say, bleeds entrepreneurship, Mr. Evan Carmichael. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for the love, Radley. Good to be here, man.
Yeah, man, this is going to be so fun. When I saw that Evan, my assistant, sent over that, hey, we got Evan Carmichael on the show, I was like, dude, epic. This is going to be a great conversation. So appreciate you taking the time here, man. For our listeners, I would love to just kind of go back to the beginning for you. Take us back to that 8-year-old you and lead us up or bring us to where we're at now, man.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll give you the highlights and then we can dive into anywhere that you want to go.
Perfect.
I think I sold my first thing when I was 5 with my 3-year-old little sister, like selling art. We made something and sold it to my neighbor for 10 cents. Yeah. I got my kind of entrepreneurial chops, I think, when I was selling baseball cards. So when I was 12, 13, the Blue Jays, I'm from Toronto, Canada. So my Blue Jays baseball team, they won the World Series. And it was also the height of kind of baseball card, hypermania. So right. I was selling baseball cards at my school. Every week we drive a couple hours out of town to a big flea market where they had a lot of baseball card vendors. And I would negotiate with, I was a 12-year-old with 40, 50-year-olds who I thought I'm 40 now. So I thought 40-year-olds were ancient at the time, and negotiating over a quarter, a dime, a nickel. And that's how it kind of just got started into entrepreneurship. I didn't know entrepreneurship wasn't a thing when I was in school, right? Like it wasn't the hot topic. Nobody said they wanted to be an entrepreneur. You kind of had to be crazy to be an entrepreneur. So I thought I wanted to be an investment banker. My high school yearbook says, where are you going to be in 10 years? I said VP at a bank because that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then in university, connected with 2 entrepreneurs. And the hardest choice of my life was either go be an entrepreneur, make $300 a month and own 30% of this business, or take this 6-figure investment banking job. And I thought, you know what? I'd rather know and fail than not know. And I went for the entrepreneurship route. Haven't looked back since. Built that company, sold it, became a venture capitalist, and then started helping entrepreneurs through my website and then YouTube channel. Wrote a bunch of books. And now I'm talking to Riley Meek. Let's go, man. This is it. Man.
Well, I want to talk about the important stuff is about these baseball cards, man, because I was the same way, dude. I still have a closet full of cards that are still plastic in the box. I've never taken them out. What year? Right. Well, I wasn't so much baseball. I was more so football.
Okay.
Right? I grew up on big Brett Favre. I'm a Packers fan. Yeah. So I've got Favre's rookie year. I don't know what 1990 maybe. Okay. I'm trying to remember here. But I have it still in the box, plastics on it. I don't even know if the card's in there, but I haven't opened it yet.
Okay.
Thinking I'm going to be a millionaire someday, when I'm 8, 9, 10 years old, collecting all these darn cards. And I remember going into these storefronts, right? There used to be retail storefronts of these trading cards. I don't see any of those anymore, man. Did you guys have those in Toronto?
Very few. I would spend all my allowance money on baseball cards. And then whenever I made money from baseball cards, I would go and buy more baseball cards, pulling from packs. And eBay didn't exist and all that stuff. We got the Beckett magazine where once a month, that's how you knew how much a card was worth, is there's this magazine called Beckett, did you get the football Beckett's?
Yep, absolutely did.
So every month, my grandparents bought it for me as my birthday present, the monthly subscription to Beckett. And it would give you this list of how much your cards are worth. So I'm like, ooh, how much is my card worth now? And it's going up. Yeah, it went down. It's just so you can kind of price it out. Those are good times. I remember one time we went to an estate auction. And my parents like collecting antiques and stuff. So I was bored out of my face at this antique estate auction. But then they had this Ozzie Smith rookie card, an Ozzie Smith Hall of Fame shortstop, St. Louis Cardinals. Yep. And ooh, in my head, that's at least a $50 card. And they're opening the bid at $2 or something. And it's a room full of antique collectors, right? They don't know anything about baseball cards. Dad, you got to bid on that card. You got to get me that card. So he's like, $2. And I think we got it for $7 or something. But I was so jazzed to walk away with this steal of a card. I still have it somewhere here. Unfortunately, in 92, 93, when I was hardcore into it, most of the cards produced in that era were junk. Like they're not worth much. They were oversupplied. But yeah, the Brett Favre rookie, I'm sure that's got some good value. I don't know football much, but he's a legend. You get the rookie card. I'm sure it's worth something.
Yeah, I'm sure I've got a bunch of them. So I've collected all of them, man. And I'd have to blow the dust off them now. That's great. So tell me, when you were fast forward, the 8, 9, 10-year-old you, and then through high school, I was kind of the same way. And like, I just assumed I was going to kind of go to college and kind of go down that path. But I eventually learned like there's something, this entrepreneurship thing, there's something to be said about that. And take me through that kind of that aha moment when you had that realization of going the route of entrepreneurship versus the, maybe we'll call it the traditional path that a lot of people take.
Sure. And listen, I'm 40, right? So this is 20 years removed. I think the world has changed a lot in the past 20 years for opportunities to be an entrepreneur. If I was 15 or 12 or whatever now, I'd be hustling these baseball cards or something like eBay. Are you kidding me? I'd be making killer money just off of eBay. So I took the traditional route. I went and I got a university education. I connected with my business partners in my company in university, but I wasn't making money at the beginning, right? I mean, we sucked, we struggled, $300 a month. Like I'm broke, I'm dead broke. But I don't regret having gone to university. I always saw it as a backup plan. So, and I think it still could be a good backup plan. As much as people like to kind of crap all over universities, I think if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something that requires you have no choice.
Absolutely. You
can't become a surgeon entrepreneur.
Right.
I mean, like you have to go to school and get the official degrees if you're going to be a surgeon, if that's your ambition. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, I don't think you're going to learn very much in university.
Right.
You'll learn. I mean, I remember being in a 4th year class at University of Toronto, which is the best university in the country, one of the best still in North America. And I was already doing more than my professor, because nobody who's actually a great entrepreneur goes and teaches entrepreneurship at a school typically. So it was super basic, and you're just not going to learn much compared to actually getting off and starting your own business. But if you don't know, like for me, I didn't know. I wasn't set on being the banker necessarily. But I also didn't know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur as well too. So I saw it as a good backup plan, because trying to get a job with a high school diploma is going to be a lot harder than with the university degree. So sure. I thought it was a great backup plan. So for people listening, watching, if you know absolutely you want to be an entrepreneur, you're probably not going to get much out of a college experience apart from connections and some fun.
Right.
That's a 4-year investment. Like you could do a lot with those 4 years. But if you need a backup plan, that could be a smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was my plan was to go to school. I got a 2-year degree in exercise science, which is pretty much useless. But through that process, while I was going through my quote unquote backup plan, we'll call it, I had this realization that this wasn't for me. It's like I started making money in that entrepreneurship world. And I think the biggest thing for me at that time was that realization that traditional schooling wasn't going to help me really through that. I needed to find somebody to help and coach me kind of through this. And I really had to seek out different mentors and find the people that had or were practicing what I wanted. So then I could ultimately model that type of success. So talk to me a little bit about that and really what your opinion is, or the importance or unimportance of finding that as maybe a young entrepreneur right now. If they know they're not going to school, they're going to seek out entrepreneurship, what maybe advice would you provide them?
So starts with hacking your learning style. Because learning, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, learning is definitely going to be a huge part of you getting to where you want to be. Entrepreneurship, I think, is the greatest personal development journey you can ever go on. But how do you learn? So you might suck at school, but it may just be because the learning style that they're trying to teach you in doesn't jam with you super well. Right. So for example, audio is the worst for me. The fact that I can see you makes it so much easier for me. If school was only taught in audio, I would really struggle. I'd have to really focus and just close my eyes and really focus on what was happening, because it's the hardest way for me to learn. So as a result, I don't listen to a single podcast. I'm on a whole bunch of them, but I listen to zero. I don't listen to any audiobooks, right? It's not my learning style. So you might feel like if audio was the only way to learn, I'd feel like the world's biggest idiot.
Sure.
I love video. It's why I started YouTube, because I love seeing things. I love the video version of things. I can pick it up so much faster. So same thing. If you learn best from books or from experiences of going to events or from mentorship or from audio or from videos, like figure out how you learn. And the good news is, not right now in a 2020 environment, there's something for you in all of those platforms. If you want to learn how to sell, you could do it from books, you could do it from videos, you could do it from podcasts. There's something that there for you. Next, in terms of mentorship, a lot of people default to thinking I need to have somebody right there in front of me to teach me and guide me. And that's definitely part of mentorship. But I think you can also learn a lot through what I call aspirational mentors. So that's everybody that I profile on my website, my YouTube channel. Now, thankfully, I've actually got a chance to meet Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard and Gary Vee and all these guys. But at the beginning, I didn't. I was just learning from them through their content. So right. You can learn from Riley even if you never meet him. You can learn from his experience and knowledge and advice and passion, even if you never ever meet him. And so, yes, traditional mentorship, but also I would try to hack it and learn from mentors who are creating content that you may never meet. I mean, I learned from Steve Jobs. I'm never going to meet him, but I can still learn from him to make me better.
Right. Yeah, that's good. And I love what you said about, people learn visually, auditorily, or even kinesthetically, where it's like they need to like touch and hold and like practice it. Right. Like, and the importance, we teach this in our sales training, that when we're teaching people or we're speaking to groups, we need to hit every one of those language patterns by asking certain questions and things like that. So I love that you had mentioned that everybody learns a little bit differently, finding your niche and how you learn best. And then, just following through with that. So you mentioned YouTube. You have, how many subscribers? 3-4 million subscribers on YouTube now?
We're getting there. Two something. Two million something. I don't know. Actually, we just crossed 2.5 recently. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. I love it. So what's the content and things for some of our listeners that maybe don't really know who you are yet? Like what are you doing on YouTube that's driving all this traffic or these subscribers to you?
So the mission is to help people believe in themselves more. I mean, I think everybody's got Brett Favre level talent at something. And it's about finding it and living it. And it's probably not what your parents wanted you to do. And it's probably not what you went to school for. But you could be the Brett Favre of something. So I want people to believe in that and then chase down those dreams. So to help accomplish that, what I try to do is inject different ideas from different leaders. So as I was starting to learn, I wanted to go learn from an Elon Musk, for example. Now, Elon Musk is not taking out internships. I can't go live with him for, a week or something, at least last time I checked. Right. Although that might be a good video. So how do I learn from him? Well, I started watching his videos. The problem is Elon is not a great speaker, and he gets asked a whole bunch of questions that I don't care about. I mean, Tesla's stock price right now, I don't care about. I care about what I can learn from his mindset. And so I thought, man, I wish somebody just took the 4 hours of him talking and took out the best 20 minutes and put that into a video for me to learn, right? So like a typical entrepreneur, I guess I just solved the problem and started doing that. So that's what a lot of my content is if you want to learn from a specific person like Elon Musk or a skill set like selling, then we bring on, we'll have a clip from Grant Cardone and a clip from Jordan Belfort and a clip from, different people to help you learn that skill set that you're looking for and kind of the best of. Now, if you want to dive deep and go watch Grant's, 20-hour training program, awesome. I'm going to give you the high level kind of overview of it and just introduce people to that ongoing motivation, because I think you need it daily. You might have a great day today, got that commission, got that sale, you're feeling fired up, and then tomorrow you wake up and you're starting over again. Right. So to kind of inject that into people every day, I think is important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Take me through that. So mindset's such a huge thing for entrepreneurs, and take me through that process, I guess, that maybe helps you get into the right mindset, or even when you were early, starting out, having that. As entrepreneurs, we deal with a lot of negativity, right? Or just, I don't even like to say failures, but it's just like we deal with, issues that come up just on a daily basis, right? And having that positive mindset. I remember when I started out in sales, one of my first jobs, my manager sat me down and said, dude, 85% of this job is negative, but all you got to do is focus on the 15% and you're going to make six figures. And that forever changed my mindset going into that job. I knew I only needed to focus on the 15 presentations that month, and I was going to be successful. And that's what I did and what I focused on. So talk to us a little bit about that, if you could, on having that mindset of that entrepreneur.
I think a lot of people look at successful people and say that person's different than I am. Well, it's easy for Grant to do that, or Brett to do that, or Tony Robbins to do that, or whoever. They're not that different. Nobody wakes up, like, so we're recording this on a Thursday. Nobody wakes up on a Thursday and says, Thursday, I'm going to go crush my car, right? Like, that's not the first thing that comes in your mind when you wake up. Not for me, not for Riley, not for Brett Favre, not for Grant Cardone, nobody, right? So you're not that different. Like, people listening, watching, you're not that different. The difference is successful people demand excellence from themselves. They demand that they show up every day. And so that starts with the morning routine. And people might say, yeah, morning routine, I got that. The difference between a good morning routine and a mediocre one is the feeling that you get at the end of it. You have to feel bold, unstoppable, powerful by the end of your morning routine. If you don't get the feeling, you didn't do it right, or you need to inject something new into it. Too many people are just checking the boxes. Okay, yep, okay, worked out, yep, got it. Okay, watch the video, great. Okay, did great. But if you don't feel amazing, you don't feel bold, ready to take on the day, your morning routine is broken. You have to go back and do it again. And it might be because you were watching that video while you're also making breakfast and taking the dog out for a walk or something, and you weren't actually focused. You didn't have the intention. So you have to feel bold, powerful, confident outside as soon as you finish your morning routine. That's one thing a lot of people mess up. Second, get into your environment, right? So before we went live, we commented on your environment. You got the quotes on the wall, and your wife helped you hang it up, and great. And I have my environment that's set up for me to come in and have success. Even now, if we're in the middle of COVID, maybe you've shifted to an at-home, sales position where you're used to going in and having that office, taking pride in your office, taking pride in what you wear. If you wore a suit, you still wear a suit because you're a professional when you go and you make your calls. You don't make a call sitting on your bed with, dirty underwear hanging from the banister or something, right?
Right.
It makes a big difference on your mental.
Absolutely.
So how you show up, because sales is really just about transferring confidence. If you're confident this is going to work for them, for your customer, and they believe in your confidence, right? You're more confident that it's going to work for them than they are confident that it's not going to work for them. Once they get to that point, they're going to buy your thing. So you have to have the confidence that it's going to work for them. That's really hard to do when you're sitting there in your undershirt, like a slob, right? Without having done your morning routine. So I think a lot of people now are falling off their practice, falling off their structure because they're used to going into a job and now they're transitioning and doing it from home. But super important. Like, before you ever pick up the phone and start talking to somebody to make a sale, you gotta do a check to say how bold am I feeling right now that I'm gonna give this person what they need to go and solve the problem, and I also get my commission in the process. Right.
Yeah, that's always nice too. But dude, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think what you said, just attaching emotion to that, to whatever accomplishment or checking that box, like you had said, attaching an emotion to that allows you to take ownership. But dude, early on in my sales career, we'll call it, we would travel a lot, and I would stay in these hotel rooms. And it was like, when I was first starting out, I would stay in the cheapest, crappiest little hotel you could find. But as I excelled through my position and made more money, I quickly realized that my mindset was completely different when I stayed at the Super 8 versus when I stayed at, the Marriott. Right. And it's like, no matter what, I vowed I was never going to stay in those crummy little hotels anymore, just because my sales were affected by it. The confidence that that came through was absolutely affected by the environment that I put myself in. So that's great, man. Talk to me about your book. So it's Built to Serve, right? You've got your who, your why. You got it right there. Built to Serve. Your who, your why, and your how.
Yeah.
Right. Talk to us a little bit about that, man. What was the passion behind this book?
I was on tour last year. We did 90 days, 23 cities across America. And I kept getting asked the same question about how do I find my purpose? How do I find my passion? How do I know what I'm supposed to do? I said, oh, that's easy. You don't need to go spend 10 years on top of a mountain or, to figure out what your purpose is. Your purpose comes from figuring out your who, your why, and your how. So I said, okay, well, what is that? And so I walk people through it. So your who is your single most important core value. So mine is belief. So even a role play like Riley, if you had to pick one important core value for you that's more important than the others, what would you come up with?
Family.
Family. Great. So now you know that for you to win, you have to be around people who also believe in the power of family. You're going to treat your people like family. If you're going to go work for Riley, it's not just about, did you hit your numbers this week? Like he's going to care about you growing, learning, improving, and being part of the Riley family.
It's good.
When he goes and hires somebody for a video editing job, as Riley starts blowing up on YouTube, you want a video editor who also believes in family, who's not just doing, this is where people mess up, is they're only looking for the skill sets. Can you edit this video without looking at the value sets? Do we align on values, right? So if you get the guy who has the skill set, but also believes in family, you got his heart and soul, not just his brain. And most people just don't even have that awareness. Most people have never been asked that question. Right. So that's the starting point. So family is super important to you. Amazing. Now that can apply to anything. So that's the who. It's who, why, how. Why then is your purpose, and your purpose comes from your pain. So whatever you struggled with the most as a human is the thing you want to help other people through. So think about the most emotional, painful moment in your life, not physical pain like I broke my arm or something, but when you felt the lowest as a human, that's what you want to help other people through. Recognizing that there's lots of people who currently are who you used to be, and they don't know how to get out. You represent hope. Like the fact that you got out of where you were is an impossibility. You shouldn't have done that, but you did. And then the how becomes, well, you could teach people. So however you got out of it, you might have tried a million things and only 3 of them worked. That's not just some fluke that happened for you. You can now teach that, which is why you do training for your team. You're teaching them what worked for you. And you were blessed enough to have a mentor who taught you, hey, 85% versus 15%. And that stuck with you. And guess what? You teach that to other people. It's not just some fluke that happened for you.
Right.
Right. So walking through that process of who, why, how helps you figure out your purpose, gives you the motivation, energy to keep going, but also recognizing that ultimately you want to serve, and you won't be happy unless you're serving, because getting the commission check is nice, but it's not enough. You have to feel like you're helping your customers. You have to feel like the work you're doing with your team matters. Like helping somebody grow on your team, that you see a younger version of you face the same issues, and then you see their eyes open up. It's like, oh my God, I didn't even see that was possible for me, is the thing that fills you up for life. And making money in the process. Like people have a weird view on making money. A lot of people think making money is everything. It's not. And other people think making money is the root of all, evil, right?
Yep.
And it's not evil either. You have to make money. If you're in sales, if you're in entrepreneurship and you're not making money, you're not going to be in sales or entrepreneurship for very long. But it's just not number one. There's got to be something above making money, but money has to be in your top 5. Otherwise, you're not making any.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say, money's not everything unless you don't have enough of it. And then it quickly becomes everything in your life. Right. And that's why it's usually oftentimes fleeting. But once you've obtained it or you've got it, it becomes about much more than that. And that's, the purpose.
But even there, right? Like having something above it, like where it shifts, I think it's got to be your top 5. I don't think it ever becomes number 1. Like, I don't think it ever replaces family for you.
Sure.
Like you're not going to sell your daughter to make money.
Right.
Like you're not going to do something against that ultimately. Like that's what you hold core to you, more important than anything else, that you would go back and sleep at a Super 8 motel if it meant that you didn't sell out your family.
Right.
It might make money number 2, and maybe money is now number 4, but it still doesn't fall out of your top 5 and it never becomes number 1.
Right. That's good, man. You're teaching me stuff about myself.
But people have a messed up view on money. I think it really hurts a lot of sales professionals, and it hurts a lot of entrepreneurs, because some people see that customer, that's my next suit, that's my next car, that's my next vacation. And like, you're going to lose if that's your ultimate mindset. You have to care about that customer winning. But there's other ones who are just so afraid to ask for the sale and afraid to ask for a raise, or afraid to ask for that next step. They're like, well, no, you have to make money. Money is not the enemy. It just can't be number 1.
Right. What would you say to somebody though, then with that mindset? Maybe, how do you kind of coach people through this? If it is that, I don't want to say poverty mindset, but it is like they don't maybe feel worthy of asking for that sale. Or we go to the other extreme where, they're only focused on money. How would you help them identify that within their own lives?
So if they're only focused on money, that's usually the easy one, because then you ask them, well, what are you standing for? What are your core values? And somebody says family. It's like, okay, would you sell your daughter for money? Like, no. Like, even if you were back against the wall, no. Because now I value that more than anything else.
Yep.
And so that can put things into perspective that, yes, I would be willing to go back and sleep at a Super 8 motel if it meant that not selling out my family, right?
Right.
That usually is pretty easy. The other way of they don't feel good enough, a lot of people feel like it's wrong, and they feel, yes, not good enough. You have to they feel like they're actually doing they feel like they're doing service by underpricing, like, oh, I'm helping them out. Well, like, you can only do so much for your mission if you're working on it part-time or evenings or weekends, or you're a solo person. If you make money and you can hire a team, and now you've got 100 people working for you, imagine the good that you can do. Mm-hmm. They're thinking they're being a good person, being altruistic by not asking for money. Like, no, you're actually being selfish, not asking for more money, because you have great potential inside you to go impact the world in a huge way, and you're keeping yourself small. I want you to have a team of 100 people all out there hitting that mission down that you want to accomplish. And you need money to do it.
Yep, absolutely. I love it. That's great stuff. Evan, I appreciate you, man. This has been great stuff. Have a good day, man.
Much love.
If you want to see another awesome interview I did, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.